What if the thing you've been criticized for your entire life is actually your greatest advantage? What if being called too sensitive was never an insult but a misunderstanding? Think about it. How many times have you been told to stop overreacting? Stop caring so much. Stop taking things personally. Maybe you've spent years trying to become someone you're not, trying to be tougher, colder, less emotional. But what if I told you science is beginning to reveal something surprising? What if your sensitivity isn't a weakness at all? What if it's a rare psychological gift that most people simply don't possess? And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the very thing you've been trying to fix may be the thing that makes you extraordinary. For years, sensitivity has been treated like a flaw. In a world that celebrates toughness, speed, and emotional detachment, sensitive people often feel like they're built incorrectly. They feel overwhelmed by noise, exhausted by crowds, affected by emotions that other people seem able to ignore. And because of that, many begin to believe something must be wrong with them. But psychology tells a different story. There is a term researchers use for people whose nervous systems process information more deeply than average. They're called highly sensitive people. But honestly, that label doesn't go far enough, because what you have isn't a weakness. It's a high-performance perception system, a kind of psychological radar that detects things most people never even notice. To understand why, we need to look at how your brain actually works. Imagine two cameras. One records in standard definition, the other records in ultra-high resolution. Both capture reality, but one captures far more detail. That is the difference between a typical nervous system and a highly sensitive one. Research suggests that highly sensitive individuals process sensory and emotional information more deeply than most people. And this creates three powerful differences. Most brains are designed to filter out huge amounts of information. It's efficient. It saves energy. That's why many people can walk into a room and barely notice anything unusual. But your brain works differently. You notice the subtle change in someone's voice, the tension behind a forced smile, the uncomfortable atmosphere nobody else seems to recognize. You pick up details others overlook. Sometimes it feels exhausting, but it also means you see patterns before other people do. You detect problems earlier. You understand situations more deeply. And often you recognize truths long before they become obvious to everyone else. The same sensitivity that overwhelms you is also the source of your awareness. Have you ever walked into a room where someone was upset and instantly felt uncomfortable yourself? Have you ever absorbed another person's stress without them saying a single word? That's because highly sensitive people often experience unusually strong emotional resonance. Your brain isn't simply observing emotions, it's responding to them. It's as if your nervous system is constantly reading invisible signals that other people miss. This can make relationships difficult. You carry emotional weight that doesn't even belong to you, but it also gives you something incredibly valuable: compassion, understanding, empathy. In a world where many people are desperate to be understood, your ability to genuinely connect with others is rare. And rare things are valuable. One of the biggest misconceptions about sensitive people is that they overthink. But what if that's not entirely true? What if you're not overthinking? What if you're simply processing more information? When faced with a decision, many people react quickly. You don't. You pause. You analyze. You consider consequences. You connect past experiences to future possibilities. And because this process happens so quickly beneath the surface, it can feel like hesitation. But often, it's actually wisdom. You're not slower. You're more thorough. Your brain is running simulations while others are reacting. And that deeper processing often leads to better judgment over time. Now here's a fascinating question. If sensitivity creates challenges, why does it still exist? Why didn't evolution eliminate it? Because every group needs different kinds of people. History wasn't built by risk-takers alone. Yes, every tribe needed hunters. They needed warriors. They needed people willing to charge forward. But they also needed observers. People who noticed danger before it arrived. People who recognized patterns. People who sensed problems that others couldn't see. In other words, they needed people like you. Sensitivity survived because it served a purpose, and it still does. Let's be honest, having this gift isn't always easy. Because you process more information, you also use more mental energy. While others may brush things off, your mind keeps working, analyzing, feeling, observing, connecting. Eventually, your system becomes overloaded. That's why sometimes you suddenly need silence, space, distance, a break from everything. And contrary to what people may think, that isn't weakness. It's maintenance. Even high-performance machines need time to cool down. Psychologists often use a beautiful comparison. Some people are like dandelions. They can thrive almost anywhere. Difficult environment, supportive environment. It doesn't matter much. They adapt easily. But highly sensitive people are more like orchids. An orchid struggles in poor conditions. Too much chaos, too much negativity, too much stress, and it begins to wilt. But here's what makes orchids special. Place them in the right environment, and they don't just survive, they flourish. Their growth becomes extraordinary. Research suggests that highly sensitive people are often more affected by both negative and positive environments, which means when conditions are healthy, they can experience exceptional creativity, emotional intelligence, insight, and personal growth. The problem was never that you were weak. The problem was that you've been trying to bloom in places that were never designed for you. So stop measuring yourself by standards that were never meant for you. Stop apologizing for feeling deeply. Stop treating your sensitivity like a flaw that needs fixing. Because the truth is, the world already has enough people who are disconnected, enough people who ignore emotions, enough people who move through life without truly seeing each other. What it needs are people who notice, people who care, people who feel, people who understand. And that's exactly what your sensitivity allows you to do. The next time someone tells you that you're too sensitive, remember this. A microscope sees things the naked eye cannot. A radar detects signals others miss. And a highly sensitive mind perceives layers of reality that many people never even notice. That isn't a defect. That isn't weakness. That is awareness. You are not broken. You are not flawed. You are not too much. You simply experience the world at a depth most people will never understand. And in a world becoming more disconnected every day, that may be your greatest strength. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below with one word, aware. And don't forget to subscribe for more psychology insights that help you understand yourself and the human mind.